We continue now at the top of Daf Ayin Bezim and Bezim Meseches Avodah Zara. This is Avodah Zarah Daf 72b. On the previous summer, Rav Huna said that nitzok and katafris, those are all considered to be connections when it comes to yayin nesach, meaning to say if you pour wine, let's say from above into a kli below, that creates that stream is going to be considered a connection. And if the wine below is yayin nesach, so the wine above becomes yayin nesach as well. And the Gemara is in the middle of bringing a proof from our Mishnah. The Mishnah said that if a person pours wine through a funnel, he first pours into the vessel of an Oved Kochavim, the flask of an Oved Kochavim, and then he uses the same funnel in order to pour into the vessel of a Jew. So then we say that that wine that was poured into the vessel, into the flask of the Jew, is actually prohibited if there are drops of wine that are on the funnel that are from what was poured to the Oved Kochavim. And so the Gemara now continues, quoting from our Mishnah, Im yesh bo ikvas yayin, again, if there's a remnant of wine on the funnel, so then also then it is forbidden. And so the Gemara asks, and Rashi mentioned on the previous summit that the Gemara would ask this question, ha ikvas yayin b'mai komitzura, this ikvas yayin, this remnant of wine on the funnel, how did it ever become asur? All that happened is that the seller poured it through the funnel into the vessel of the Oved Kochavim, and so therefore we understand what the Oved Kochavim has, that can have the status of yayin nesach, but why are the drops that are on the funnel, why should those be prohibited? And so lav benitzok, isn't it because of the stream? Because it's all connected, and so you see, even though the stream is pouring downward, but still it connects back up, and therefore the drops of wine that are left in the funnel are prohibited. That is a proof to Rav Huna, shma mina nitzok chibur. We should see from here that that stream is considered to be a connection. And the Gemara continues, Tani Rabbi Chia taught, it's not necessarily a proof, because it could be shepechasato tzluchiso. What actually happened over here is that the funnel, the bottom of the funnel actually was it was immersed in the vessel of the Oved Kochavim, and so therefore when the level of the wine in the flask, it rose up and it touched the funnel, that's actually why that became prohibited wine. But the Gemara still says, avalo pechasato tzluchiso mai, but let's say that wasn't the case. Let's say it wasn't that it touched what was in the flask. So then what would be? So apparently low. So now you're arguing, according to the way Rabbi Chia taught, you're saying no, that the drops of wine would not be forbidden. So then we could answer the opposite. Tifshot denitzok eino chibur. We should answer the question that the stream is not a connection. And the Gemara says you can't necessarily answer. Lo, no. Pechasatu tzluchiso tifshot loch de'aser. We can understand that if again it's directly touching what's in the flask, then it's aser. But nitzok tiboy, but it could still be that nitzok is a question. And Rashi explains, ho ikvas yayin, that remnant of the wine, the mashbech on the funnel, b'ma yitzar, how did that become forbidden? Halo naga mashbech b'yayin nesach mishiyared l'soch hatzluchis, the mashbech, it never touched the yayin nesach when the yayin nesach went into the flask. So ela benitzok, it has to be through the stream, shechiber yayin shebemashbech l'yayin shebekarkiyasa shel tzluchis, that you have this stream of wine, and it connects the wine that's in the bottom of the flask, is now connected to the wine that's in the funnel, and that's how it became prohibited. Again, it seems to be a proof to Rav Huna. And the Gemara then said, Tani Rabbi Chia taught b'masnise lahach masnisa umosif ba. He had a brisa which added on to what we just said above and added the following: shepechasato tzluchiso, that what we're talking about over here in our Mishnah is pechasato tzluchiso, that the level of the wine rose in the flask. V'achi katani la, so it's as follows: natal hamashbech umadad l'soch tzluchis shel Oved Kochavim. He took the funnel and measured into the flask of the Oved Kochavim. V'arei pechasato tzluchiso, and then that level of the wine, again, it rose up in the flask. And then he goes ahead and measures into the flask of the Jew. If there's a remnant of that wine, it's forbidden. Since the flask of the Oved Kochavim rose, that it already was touching the bottom of the funnel, now you have a real connection between the wine that was in the funnel and the wine which was the yayin nesach. So then we understand again that can create that problem. And Rashi continues, Umakshin, and then the Gemara asks, Kevan dahach Rabbi Chia masnisa, since what Rabbi Chia taught was really a brisa that's adding on to our Mishnah of a katani shepechasatu tzluchiso, and what he's teaching is this idea again that the level of the wine rose, so halav achisharis, and then it sounds like if not for that it would be permitted. So tifshot denitzok eino chibur, that then we should answer the question that the stream is not a connection. Umeshani, and so then the Gemara answered, Lo, no, shepechasatu tzluchiso tifshot loch diaser. We know if the level of the wine rose in the flask the Oved Kochavim is forbidden. And we need to teach that itself. Don't think that that's also like nitzok. V'lo titzor shouldn't be aser. Avol nitzok tiboilach, but still in terms of nitzok itself, it's still a question. And again, you're not going to be able to infer any kind of heter from here. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, come in here, a proof from the next case of our Mishnah, Hama'ora mikli lakli, if somebody pours from one vessel to another vessel, as Shema'ora mimen, with the one he's pouring from, mutter is permitted. And Rashi explains, Hamara mikli al kli salkadaite. Right now we think be Yisrael askin, and we're talking about a Jew who's pouring from one vessel to the other. And the Gemara infers from this part of the Mishnah, Hadebeini beini aser. It sounds like the vessel that's being poured from is going to be permitted, but the stream that's in the middle over there, as it's coming down, it is forbidden. So shmami non nitzok chibra. You see that the nitzok, you see that that stream is considered a connection. It seems to be a proof to Rav Huna. And the Gemara continues and asks, "Initzo chibra." But if you're saying that the stream is a connection, so afilu de gavia demona namilitzer. So then even that which is inside of the vessel should be forbidden. Meaning that which is inside of the vessel you're pouring from is also connected by that stream. The Gemara says to that, holokasha, that's not a difficulty. To come maktif ketufa, we could be talking about a situation where the stream is cut off, and so therefore you have a situation where that which is in the vessel being poured from never really becomes prohibited by the stream because the stream was interrupted, but still that stuff in the middle, again, it seems to be that is aser, and that would seem to be indicating that nitzok chibor. But the Gemara continues, Mikol makom nitzok chibor. Nevertheless, again, you do see from this part of the Mishnah that the stream is a connection. But the Gemara says, V'lataymech, according to your reasoning, Ein Maseifa, look at the end, the next line in the Mishnah, as she'ira l'socho, it says that with the vessel which you pour into, hu d'aser, that's the one that's forbidden. Hadebeini beini shari, that would sound like the stream that's in the middle is actually permitted. And so the Gemara says, rather, you can't really derive anything from this part of the Mishnah. And Rashi explains the mifsuke psuke, the girsa that we had in our Gemara is the kamiktaf ketufe. Again, the idea is that the stream is interrupted. Kodem sheyard hakiluach lesoch kli oved kochavim. Before the stream actually reaches the vessel of the oved kochavim, yifsok rosh hanitzok mikli elyon. The stream's already interrupted. The hashta leka chibor midi. So there's no connection in terms of whatever was remaining in the vessel you're pouring from. Avol debeini beini, but that stuff which is in the midair, in the middle, the mechaber al yedei nitzok, which is connected through the stream, asur lekolto min ha'aver l'shtoso, would be forbidden to catch that from the air and drink it. And so therefore, again, that's why there's no question from the wine in the vessel that you're pouring from. But again, nevertheless, the Gemara wanted to bring a proof from the stream that's in the middle between the two vessels, and in the end, the Gemara said there is no proof from this part of the Mishnah. And the Gemara continues, Tashma, coming here a proof from the following Brisa, Hamara mechavis labor, if somebody pours from a barrel into the cistern of wine, Ki luach hayored misvas chavis lamata, the stream that goes from the edge of the barrel down below into the bore, also it's going to be forbidden, and that seems to be because of the nitzok, because of the stream that's considered to be a chibor, and that's why it is forbidden. And the Gemara continues and answers, Tir Gemara, Rav Sheshas answers, Be Oved Kochavim Hama'ara. We're talking here where the Oved Kochavim is pouring from the barrel into the bore, and therefore, Da'asi Mikocho, if the wine is going because of his force, so that's why it becomes Aser, it's considered like Yayin Nesech. But the Gemara asks, the Oved Kochavim Hama'ara, but if the Oved Kochavim is pouring from the barrel, Afilu Gava Dechavisa Nami Mitzar, so even whatever's in the barrel should be Aser. The Bryce only says that the stream is Aser, but that which is in the barrel is permitted. But if the Oved Kochavim is pouring, the entire barrel should be forbidden. And the Gemara answers, Koach Oved Kochavim midrabonanhu. The idea that what comes from the force of an Oved Kochavim is prohibited, that actually is only a derabonan, diaser. It's only aser on a derabonan level, and therefore Ahud nafak livaroi gazru bei rabbanan. Whatever comes outside of the barrel, that stream, the rabbanan make a decree, and they say that it's aser. Ahud legavoy lo gazru bei rabbanan. But that which is in the barrel, the rabbanan did not make the gezerah. And the Gemara continues, Amar Lahu Rav Chisda Lahanu Savyasa. Rav Chisda said to the Savyasa, those were the shopkeepers who sold wine, and they would pour the wine out into the vessels of the Ovdei Kochavim. So he advised them as follows, Ki chaylisu chamel Ovdei Kochavim, when you're measuring out that wine for the Ovdei Kochavim, katfei ketufa, you should pour it, but you should interrupt the stream. For exactly this reason, if you hold that nitzok is a chibor, nitzok is considered to be a connection. If you don't interrupt the stream, then everything, the connection is going to go all the way back to your vessel and make it prohibited, and therefore it's better to interrupt the stream when you're pouring. And the Gemara continues, Inami nafse nefutse. Another piece of advice he gave is nafse nefutse, which means you should kind of be from a certain distance and sort of throw it into the vessels of the Ovid Kochavim. And it's the same basic idea that there should not be a connected stream causing a prohibition. And the Gemara continues, Amar lehu Rava. Rava said, Lahanu shfuchai. He said to the shfuchai, Rashi explains Shvuchai, Paul and Yisrael, these are Jewish workers, Haragilim laros yain mikli al kli, and they would regularly pour wine from one vessel to another. So he told these Shvuchai, Ki shafchisu chamra, when you pour the wine, lo likriv ovid kochavim l'sayeya b'hadaychu, don't allow the ovid kochavim to come too close to help you out, because dilma mishtalisu v'shadisu leolea v'ka'asi mikocho v'yasr, because we're afraid maybe you're going to let down your guard and you're going to have him, he's going to end up being the one who's going to do the pouring, it's going to come from his force, and it will be forbidden. Rashi explains, V'shadis le'ilave shema hinichu es kol ha'kli shemar mimenu, maybe they're going to allow the entire vessel which he's pouring from, biyad ovid kochavim, he's going to let it get into the hands of the ovid kochavim, v'hu yera levado, he himself will pour, u'mitzar hatachton, and then what's going to end up happening is whatever he's pouring into is going to be forbidden. And the Gemara continues, Hahu gavra do'asik chamra begishto vas gishta. There was a person, he was using gishta and bas gishta, which are various kinds of tubes, a big tube and a small tube. This was used to siphon the wine from one barrel to another. They would essentially set up these siphons from one barrel to the other, and then they would get it started by sucking on it with their mouths in order to start the flow of the wine, and then the wine automatically would empty out from one barrel and go into the other barrel, and that's what a particular person was doing. Also, Ovid Kochavim onach yode agishta. So then a certain Ovid Kochavim came, and he placed his hand on this tube. Asrei Rava l'kulei chamra, and Rava said all of the wine is now forbidden. Amar le Rapapa l'Rava, Rapapa said to Rava, V'amri la Ravada bar Masna l'Rava, and some say that it was Ravada bar Masna said to Rava. V'amri la Ravina l'Rava, some say it was Ravina that said to Rava. Why should everything be forbidden? B'mai, why is it forbidden? B'nitzok, is it because of the connection of the stream of the wine? Shamat mina nitzok chibra, should we learn from here that nitzok is considered to be a connection? And the Gemara says not necessarily. Shani hasam, it's different over there. To kule chamra gishto vas gishto gar, because there when you're siphoning the wine, all of the wine just goes through. It's automatically on its own going to go through from one to the other, and therefore, since it's all kind of dragged after that flow of the wine, there we are more strict. And the Gemara continues, Amar Mar Zutra, brother of Nachman, Mar Zutra, the son of Rav Nachman, said, Kinishkinin shari, Kinishkinin are permitted. We'll see Rashi in a moment, but the idea of Kinishkinin is that a number of people would drink from almost like straws. They would drink from one vessel. And the point over here is that even if a non-Jew is drinking from the wine at the same time as a Jew, that is permitted. And the Gemara says, V'hani mili dekadim pasak Yisrael. It's only permitted if the Jew stopped drinking first. Avol kadam pasak ovid kochavim. But if the ovid kochavim stopped drinking first, then all the wine remaining in the pipe, in the straw, is going to go back down into the vessel, and therefore no, would not be permitted, because now all of the wine would be prohibited at that point in time when the Ovid Kochavim stops, and the Jew therefore at that point is not allowed to drink in that fashion. And the Gemara continues, Rabba bar Rav Huna ikla levei Reish Galusa. Rabba bar Rav Huna went to the house of the Reish Galusa, of the head of the exile. Shara lehu lemishta b'kenishkinin. He allowed them to drink with kenishkinin. And Rashi explains, Gishto vas Gishta, the big tube and the small tube, Hainu diyufe, that is diyufe, degaras be'erevin, that we learn in Erevin, Chotchin shneikonim b'shipua, they would cut two reeds at a slant, umadvikin rashayin milmal, and they would attach them at the top, ushnein ponin lamata, they would both be pointing downward, umanichon echad min harashin bechavis, one of the ends was put in a bechavis malay, in a full barrel, at shemagia l'shula, would be put in a full barrel all the way to the bottom of the barrel. V'rosh kona hasheni nosin bepiv, and then the second side he would put into his mouth. Umotzetz mat, he would suck it a little ad sha'ola hayayin, until the wine would come up. V'shomto mipiv, then he would remove it from his mouth. Umeiniach chavis reikonis keneged kiluach hakiluach, he would have an empty barrel there where the stream of wine was. V'yayin ola me'elav kulo mechavis l'chavis, and the wine would automatically go from one barrel to the other. And then an Ovid Kochavim came in, Onach Yodei Agishta, he placed his hand on the tube, Naga Barosh Zeh HaMekaleach, and the top of the one that was streaming, he touched it, L'kulei Chamra, and so he said that all of they paskin that all of the wine is forbidden. Nafilu Masha B'Kli Rishon, Sheb'Kli Rishon, even what was in the first vessel, it all becomes forbidden. And the Gemara said, do you see from here that nitzok is a chibor? And the Gemara said, not necessarily, because here, agishto, baskishto gar, everything is dragged after this system of siphoning. Sharei me'elav ola because it's all going on its own. V'havele kenogea b'chavis mamish. You touch that, it's like touching the barrel itself. To havele kechavis arich, it's all like one long barrel, and that's why we're more strict in that case. And then finally, the case of kinishkinin, which is permitted. Kli racha v'yeshlo shnei kanin o shlosha yotzim mitzid. You have a wide vessel, and you have 2 or 3 reeds coming out of it, almost acting like straws. V'nimshachin v'yolen keneged govo, and they're drawn out according to the height of the vessel. Okeshenosnin yayin befiv, and when he puts the wine in his mouth, mismalim kol hakonim, all of the reeds actually fill up. V'yacholen kama b'nei adam lishtos bo b'yachad. Many people can drink from it at once. V'kan koren lo karugla. Here they call it karugla. Mivnei shemukaf konim kemecholos halalu, because it's surrounded by reeds. Kinishkin in sharia, what it means is it's permitted. Lishtos bo yisrael v'yovel kochavim b'yachad, that a Jew and an oved kochavim can drink together. Shekol zman shezem motzei ein yayin shenogeh b'fi oved kochavim chozer lamat. As long as they're all drinking, the wine that was in the mouth of the oved kochavim is not going to go back down, and that's why it's permitted. And again, that's why the Gemara said that if the Jew stops first, it's permitted, but if the oved kochavim stops first, then it's problematic. And we will continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Ayin Gimel Amud Aleph.